What is up, everyone? Live from the Dee Hankins studio. Welcome to the Dee Hankins Show, where we talk about life, help you with your curveballs, and celebrate your home runs. Today, we have a special edition of the show called Foster the Future. I've got the man. I've got the man, the legendary Kevon Lee. Kevon, welcome to the show. Bro, I am so excited to have you here. Ah, man, you have such an interesting story, and the first person or one of the first people that I thought about when I was like, we got to make this show happen. I was like, Kevon, bro, you got to come on and you got to bless these people with your story about how you went from foster youth. That's what this whole thing about. Foster the Future is about interviewing foster youth or former foster youth that are killing the game, doing amazing things in life. And bro, talk about going from being in foster care and all the stuff that you endured to where you are now. Hands down, crazy incredible. And I want you to be able to share a little bit about that today. So do me a favor, introduce yourself. I want who you are as a person, right? Talking husband, dad, all that stuff. And then I want you to list your credentials and the things that you've accomplished.
Definitely, man. First of all, it's an honor to be here live with you. We've been at several events together, spoken at several events together. So to get on this live with you is definitely an honor and a blessing. So again, my name is Kevon Lee. I'm a national motivational speaker. I'm a husband. I'm a father, newly father. So I'm about 5 weeks in this thing. So I'm very new, but it's definitely a blessing. It's an honor. Let me see some things I've done. I have a master's degree. I was a former foster youth, former homeless youth. I get the chance to go across the country, speak, whether it's to students, educators, parents, whoever the case may be, whoever brings me in. I'm speaking life into them regardless. Let me see. That's all I can really think of right now. Oh, I have a children's book. Right now I'm working on my memoir. So by the end of this year, that memoir is gonna drop. So it's gonna be some heat. It's gonna be some heat.
Oh,
But again, it's a blessing to be here, man. I already know we're gonna have some great conversations.
man, yes. New dad, 5 weeks in. How's that experience been?
It's amazing, man. To be honest, the best thing about it is seeing my wife, how happy she is being a mother, how much she cherishes it. This not happened like 4 or 5 times. I walk inside the house and she's just crying. I'm like, bro, what did I do? And she's like, I'm just so happy. I feel complete. I have the baby. I have a great husband, and so just seeing that she enjoys being a mother, and then that how she treats our baby with such diligency, and it's the best thing in the world.
That's awesome, man. I'm super happy for both of you. I'm very proud of you. And that leads me into my first question, man, right off the bat is when you grow up in foster care, oftentimes for those of you who are new to this channel or new to the world of foster care, May is Foster Care Awareness Month. Most of the time when you end up in foster care, you're getting removed from your biological parents, meaning your mom or your dad. Depending on your story and your situation, that can really pierce you in a real way. Okay. So Kevon, did you grow up with your father in the picture at all?
I mean, but before I was placed into foster care, absolutely. My dad was there, my mother was there. Now, was it the best environment, the best, relationship? Of course not, right? Or I wouldn't have been put into foster care. And then after that, I mean, my father, we would definitely contact each other, whether it's call. Back then, they didn't really have FaceTime until I got to high school. But, it was never a point where I got a chance to live back with them once I got into foster care.
Okay. So let's fast forward into the future. How does that look now? Now that you're a dad,
Mm-hmm.
what what did foster care do to you? Does it motivate you to be a really good father? Are you scared? Do you have some
Mm-hmm.
doubts? Like what goes on in your mind when you decided, hey, I'm going to take this father route, I'm going to take this husband route, knowing that you have all this trauma, right? Foster care trauma that has followed you.
Man, honestly, and you know me, we done talked and stuff before, but I'm a very motivated person, right? I'm very empowered. So, becoming a husband and becoming a father, it motivated me to another level. So I want to be the best husband I could be, the best father I could be, and because I know, and other people in my family aren't the best fathers, aren't the best husbands. So I've looked at that and I said, you know what? I can't go down that route, so I got to go down this route. And so, just being in foster care, everything that I went through, it made me excited to be a father, and excited to be a husband, because now I could right the wrongs that have been done, right? And I could actually change these paradigms and change these generational curses that have been bestowed upon my family. Because if you go look back until my great grandmother, there has been challenges she went through. Then my grandma, she's been through challenges, and of course my mother and father, they've been through challenges. And so now it's like a clean slate. And I am, I'm telling you right now, man, I work so hard at being the best father and husband I could be, because I don't want my daughter to ever experience homelessness. I don't want my daughter to ever experience foster care, a father not in her life, or somebody who she feels that does not love her. Like, I'm telling you, every single day I tell her, I love you, you're amazing, you're phenomenal, you're beautiful. Don't let anybody else tell you differently. And so when she gets older and somebody's trying to say, you not pretty, or you're stupid, she gonna be like, I don't care, because my father say I'm beautiful and I'm smart, so I don't care what you say. And so just instilling that into her now, it's the amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, right? Because this is how I honestly feel. We know right from wrong. We know right from wrong. When we're doing wrong, we have that gut feeling, should I really do this, or should I really go out with this? And so I use that gut feeling the same with, like I said, I'm only 5 weeks in. This is the very beginning, but I'm creating those habits now. So in the future, all those habits it'll stay with me. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Raise them the way they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart from it.
Come on
I
now.
love that, man. I love that. So, I love that, man. Can you tell us um, a little about a specific challenge that you face in foster care,
Mhm.
and how did you overcome it to achieve personal and professional success?
Man, so when it came to foster care, I was only in foster care for from 5 to 9 years old, so 4 years. But the biggest challenge I would say I had was that self love, because I'm thinking, hold on, why my parents
Mm,
aren't coming to get me? Why am I staying in this person's home who I don't know, who I grew to know, but I don't know who this person is? And I remember, because I'm gonna go back a little bit. So I got shot at the age of 5, and that's why I went into the foster care system. And I remember when I was in the hospital, it was the day before my last day. So right before I was going to get discharged, this woman comes in. She says, tomorrow I'll be back with your new mom. And I remember kicking and screaming, throwing things. And I said, what do you mean I'm going to have a new mom? This is the only mother I know. Because as a child, you don't know about foster care. You don't know about other moms or whatever the case may be. You only know the mom that's been taking care of you. And so when I heard that, it really distraught me. And so going into foster care, and then going through the things I went through, it was like, okay, do my parents love me? And honestly, I dealt with that until my early 20s. Do my parents love me? Are they there for me? And honestly, I had to get to the point where I had to really forgive them. And so, going through foster care, I wouldn't say it was the worst thing in my life, because if I'd never been through foster care, I wouldn't be who I am now. And so I
mhm,
truly believe everybody's go down a path. And when you go down that path, you have to understand that you have different options in life. You could either go down the path of misery and a path of depression, which I struggled with depression growing up, or a path that's bad for you. You could go down a path where, okay, all this that happened to me, all this hell happened to me. Now let's make it redesign me. Let's make it create me. And so that's why I'm in the career I am. Right, We get the honor of traveling the country, telling our story. We talk for a living. Who would have thought about that? We talk for a living. I used to get in trouble for talking, and so and you see some of the youth right now who are commenting say, "Hey D, you changed my life. Hey Kevon, you changed my life." That's what it's about, man. We're here to be servant leaders. At the end of the day, we're here to be servant leaders. And so all that stuff I've been through, man, in foster care, the hardest thing was the doubt of, do my parents even love me? And I struggled with that for about what, 15, 16 years.
What changed? What snapped? Like, how did you ever answer that question?
Yeah, man. I had to realize that I had to forgive them. That was the biggest thing for me. I had to forgive them for what they did and did not do. And then off of that, I had to realize, okay, Kevon, you have to love them for them, because although you want them to be this parent that you want them to be, that because we see our friends with their moms, their relationship with their moms, relationship with their dads, and we just like, man, why can't we get that? And so
Mm.
yeah, so I had to realize, man, I just got to forgive them, not for them, but for myself. And once I realized that, I made the switch in my mind. And so it's never the thing of, okay, will they ever be that person? Because I know they may not ever, but now I could do what I have to do in order for me to be a healthy person, so I could be a great husband, so I could be a great father, because I don't want to trickle that down and my wife feels that and my
Mm.
baby feel that. And so I had to switch that mindset.
So, in a sense, did forgiving the people that hurt you set you free? Did it allow you to achieve that personal and professional success? That forgiveness
Mm,
of, you know, yeah, I mean, I guess the people that hurt you, man. Like, you're talking about your mom, you're talking about your dad, you're talking about all the situations that happened. Did you feel stagnant when you held on to that unforgiveness versus free when you actually let it go and you started to forgive them? Did you see yourself like blossom into this great man that you are today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's when we don't forgive somebody or the situation, whatever the case may be, that situation has power over us, and then we act toward whatever we're not forgiving. And so, yeah, man. I always tell people, right, to forgive. We have people who are 60, 70 years old, and we say, hey, like, what's wrong? Why are you like this? My parents were like this. I can't stand them. I can't. And it's like, man, you spent 60, 70 years with that hurt, with that trauma, and you never let it go. And because you never let it go, you grew to be this person. And so I never wanted to grow to be a sick person. I'm talking about sick minded, a person with a lot of resentment, a person who treats people the wrong way, or a person who just can't even accomplish their dreams and goals because they're holding on to all that hurt and that anger. Because the main thing with me, it was just a lot of hurt. It's like a lot of the unknowing,
Mm.
the feeling of not being wanted. That's where my forgiveness, where I had to forgive, really came from.
There's a lot of students that I talk to. There's a lot of adults that I talk to, a lot of teachers, a lot of people that are in social work that deal with child welfare that struggle with this concept of forgiveness. So, my question to you is, if you can, how do you forgive? Like, how do you forgive somebody that molested you? How do
Mm,
you forgive somebody that caused you physical harm to your body, to
yeah,
your mind, to your
for sure.
spirit? How do you forgive somebody that is supposed to love you unconditionally? Like, how do you forgive your mom? How do you
Mm,
forgive your dad? And those are the people that hurt you. We talk about forgiving and we say, oh, you should do these things.
mhm.
But how do you do it? How do you do it to the husband who, beats you every day? Or how do you do it to the person that you gave your whole life to and they just threw it away? How? Like, how do you forgive?
Mhm. Man, and that's a tough question when you ask that. Going to like the molestation, right? I had to forgive my brother. My brother, he raped me as a child. I was 4 or 5 years old, right before I got shot, right before I got into the foster care, and so I grew up hating my. And I know that's a strong word, but if I'm being honest, and I grew up hating my brother, and I feel that it was my parents' fault because Not that they didn't prevent it, but it happened on their watch. And so that
Mm.
was another thing that, I'm talking about, man. When I told my mom what happened, I was about 16 or 17 years old. I told her what happened, and her response was, "You remember that?" And I'm like, "Wow,
Wow.
so you knew, bro?" I'm talking about and then from that age of 16, 17 to about 22, I couldn't stand my mom. I could
Mm-hmm.
not stand my mom. And then I had to grow to like, okay, man, you know what? All that stuff happened to you, but you want to be a better person, right? I had to go to therapy. I had to talk to multiple therapists. I remember the first therapy session I've ever went to. I told this woman my whole story. She started crying. I never seen her again. So I had to go to another therapist. And just talking to the therapist and understanding, like, Kevon, you have all this hurt and all this anger because you simply won't let it go. And so I want everybody to listen to this. What we need to do is let it go. I'm not asking you to forget it, but I'm asking for you to let it go. And this is one quote that I heard: "Those who anger you control you." Because I
Mm.
was so angry at my brother, at my mother, at my father, they had full control over my life, and I was not able to, go to the next level. And it is so important. If you don't get nothing else from this call that we are on right now, it is so important to let it go. It will save you so much heartbreaks. It will save you so many tears if you could just let it go. And it's easier said than done. It's easy, especially when somebody, rapes you, somebody molests you, somebody physically abuse you, mentally abuse you, whatever the case may be. It sounds easy. I mean, it sounds hard, but it must be done. Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, let me ask you this: who else is living your life? Nobody. Nobody else is living your life. So do you want to go another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, still with this hurt and this pain, and you stay stagnant because you can't grow? You cannot grow. All that mental abuse that happens to you, because rape is also a form of mental abuse. Hitting on you or whatever the case may be is also a form of mental abuse. And because you never forgive and you don't let it go, you grow up, but you stay in that same mindset. You stay young
Mm.
forever. So you might be 50, but you have that 15-year-old mindset. You may have that 10-year-old mindset, and you never could grow to your fullest potential. And so it's just really key to just let it all go.
And it follows you. It definitely follows you. I remember being my aunt had this event called Every Man. And it was an event where men can come together, share their stories, talk about, what it's like to be a man and things like that. And she asked me to come and take pictures for her and video. And I'm the youngest by far, right? I'm literally like maybe I'm 20, at least 20 years younger than everybody in that room. And there was this one particular gentleman, he was up there and he's about 70 something. And he's talking about stuff that happened to him when he was 10.
Mm.
We're talking 60 years ago, stuff that was built up here, of stuff that happened to him, of his relationship with his mom and why he had so many marriages fall apart and so on and so forth. And he was like, man, like I never dealt with this stuff when I was 6. I
Mm.
held on to it when I was 6. He's 70, or when I was 10, excuse me. Now I'm 70. So we're talking 60 years of following, man. And there wasn't a dry eye in the room, because a lot of I could tell a lot of the men in there were reliving their childhood experiences and realizing, yo, I never let this go. I never forgave this person. And at 70, when you're 70, I think the worst thing that can happen is the person that you should have forgiven is no longer with us.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can let it go, because forgiveness is also a mental release as well, you know? But I do feel there is a huge difference between looking somebody in the eye and telling them, hey, you hurt me way back when, or yesterday, or whatever the case may be. I need time to let that go, but I'm not putting the ball in your court anymore. This is on me. We're going to have our boundaries. I'm going to have my space. Like, I forgive you, but I can't roll with you no more. Right. or I can't deal with this no more. I can't be in this relationship no more. I can't really talk to you anymore. But I forgive you, you know? And then, or versus someone that you have this epiphany that you need to forgive somebody, but you can no longer forgive them because they died, right?
Mm.
You can't look at them in the eyes. You can't send them a text message. You can only mentally do it. And both are effective. But my point is, if you have people, if you're watching this live and you have people in your life that really, really hurt you, like bad, you know, like Kevon said, you have to learn to forgive them. You got to learn it. That means that you have to take time and really feel like what does it mean to forgive? Because there's a danger in saying that you forgive people and really not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, an example of mine is like, you know, my son's mom. Like we had this issue that happened, and I was just like, yeah, I forgive you, you know, like I'm just gonna, you know, let it go. And I never did. Like
Mm.
physically I did it, but not mentally. And because mentally I didn't forgive her, I treated her like dirt,
Mm.
right? Because that's what unforgiveness does. Unforgiveness is like this, it's this poison, man. It's this toxin that spews through and seeps through your words. It seeps through your thoughts. It seeps through your physical actions.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll know when you really forgive somebody by how you move on with them or how you attack
Watch,
life, you
watch
know?
this. Watch this right here. I said this during the speech, and I don't know what made me say it, but it's literally how I felt. Unforgiveness is a generational curse. Because
Mm,
think about it. Those who hurt you, they are hurting you because they didn't forgive the person who hurt them. And it
wow.
happened because when I talk to people who've been through
Wait.
so much
Say that
trauma.
again. Say that again for the people in the back. Say that one more time, man.
So the reason that the reason the person who hurt you is hurting you because they didn't forgive the person that hurt them.
Oh my,
That's
my
so deep.
goodness.
Because you have to understand, right? If I remember talking to somebody in like about 60s or 70s, right? And they talked about how their mother and father will abuse them, talk bad about them, call them disappointments. And now when they became a parent, they was doing the same thing to their child, right? Their child ended up on drugs, their child ended up an alcoholic, and now the same thing happened when that person had kids. Their kids ended up, you know, with bad grades or doing bad or ended up on the streets, and ended up in foster care. And so it is a generational cycle. Unforgiveness is a generational cycle. And if that grandmother would have forgiven her mother and learned to love her kids the right way and treat her kids the right way, all that mess could have been gone. All that mess could have stopped right there. And so that's why it's up to us, right? Us as your father and I'm a father to stop, nip that in the butt right now. It's
Mm,
stopping right now. I never want my daughter would never, like I said, experience the things I experienced. She will only hear the stories and be like, man, I can't believe that. I can't relate to that. I don't want you to relate. I want you to have a great life. I want you to live in privilege in a sense, right? I don't want you to struggle. I don't want you to go through everything I went through. But again, unforgiveness is a generational cycle. So the
mm.
question is, are you going to break it?
Yeah. Sheesh, man. Yeah. That one's deep.
Come on now.
Yeah, yeah, man, dude, if you really think about it, you are spot on. And you know, we do these. I'm a nerd when it comes to like human behavior and science and how the brain works and things like that. And we often talk about like hate and racism and really stuff that divides human beings. And it's all taught, right? It's all taught, and it's usually adults that teach it to our children. You know, there was this one experiment, was just like, dude, if you put a bunch of kids together, all different races, all different hair lengths, skin colors, yada yada, they will figure out how to play together,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't care about none of that. Hey, how can we have fun? Come to my party next week. You know, I've had my son who met somebody at a park for 30 minutes talk about, hey, can he come to my house? And, you know, and all this other stuff. I'm like, we don't know these people, you know, but that's how kids think, you know. But adults, we teach them racism. Don't talk to these
Mm-hmm.
people. Don't look like that. Don't say this, you know, so on and so forth. So, But the reason why we teach that is because we were taught that, right? Or maybe we experienced something like that, and it has shaped the way that we have, that we attack the world, right? So, man, you make a valid point, and I hope those of you that are listening really heard that. Unforgiveness is a generational curse. The reason why somebody is treating you like that is because they haven't forgive someone that hurt them. Man, Kevon, bro, you need to trademark that like
I
ASAP.
know.
For
Before
real,
somebody
for real.
take that mug.
For real, man. Um, when did you feel like you hit adulthood?
mm.
We think, oh, all right, 18, we're adults. Like
Mm-hmm.
legally, we're adults, but like you said earlier, you got some 50-year-olds out there that are still 15.
Yeah.
You got some, I see it in the dating world, I see it in how we speak. This is both men and women, right? We're stuck where the trauma happened to us, right? We stay at that age. And this is all backed by science and psychology. Trauma can help us stay at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in foster care, and a lot of this stuff happened to you from 4 to 9. You had this abuse. You were shot at. You entered the foster care system. You had all of these things. When do you think you hit adulthood?
Man, before I answer that question, I would say because I've learned how to forgive, man, I don't feel no repercussions for anything that happened in my life.
Mm,
Meaning that, I mean, the only thing that I wish was better was my relationship with my parents. But other than like being shot, being raped, being bullied, man, I don't feel none of that. It feels like honestly, it didn't even happen, and I'm living my best life right now. I'm living my life as if I had a two-parent home. I had the
mm,
best life. I had all that. But going back to your question is when did I feel like I became an adult? And honestly, it happened for me when I graduated high school. And I say that is because we lived in poverty. And once I turned 18, my grandmother, she lost a check because she adopted me. She lost one of her checks. And then when I graduated from high school, she lost the other check. And so my grandmother, she was only surviving once I got to college, only like $1,200 a month. And so there was no and what's crazy is when my first year through college, and I didn't understand this until she passed away, was that my whole first year through college, she was homeless. She was making sure that I got through college before she moved back to Mississippi. And so, and
wow.
I did not know that because every time I'd be like, "Hey, grandma, I'm about to come see you," she said, "No, don't worry about it. I'll come see you." And so I never knew that. And so at the age of 19 is when I graduated high school. I'll say that's when I became an adult because there was no more running back to grandma. There was no parents to run back to. I had to literally figure things out on my own. I had to get mentors to teach me how to be a man, how to do business, whatever the case may be. I had to navigate this world, and I realized early that okay, Kevon, if you do not get, and I went to college, if you do not get through this college, what is the likelihood that you will be successful?
Mm,
And because I had that in the back of my head every single day, I do not want to live off my grandma. I don't want to go back home. Not because I don't love my grandma, because I love she's the love of my life. Not because of that. It's because I wanted to be successful for her, and so my mindset shifted right there. Like, okay, Kevin, you got to go get this. And of course, throughout college and where I am now, which is about 7 years. I'm 26 years old. I've steadily kept growing. I do research on how to be a great father, on how to be a great husband. On I read books, I listen to podcasts, I listen to videos. I do all these things because I want to grow. Because at the end of the day, man, if I pass away and only people got to say he was an amazing motivational speaker, oh my gosh, he inspired me. But my wife said, oh, he was horrible. He
yeah.
was never home. He wasn't a great father. My daughter hates me. And what did I live for? Like that.
Yeah.
That's the true legacy. Saying that my wife, she loved me. She said I'm the best husband. I'm the man of the house. Like that is what a true man is. That's not that like he's not a boy. He's a man.
Mm,
And so that's what it's all about, right? Because especially now in society, we think adulthood or being a man is what social media says. It's what everybody sees out here. But at the end, and especially if you're married and you have children, what does your family say about you?
mm,
That's the biggest thing. What does and I'm not talking about like your cousin and stuff. What does your immediate wife, husband, kids say about you. And so I'll say it all started for me about 19 years old.
Man, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. You talked about mentors.
Mhm.
Looking back, what kind of support systems or mentors were most helpful in your journey? Did anything specific make a difference in your success? Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, bro. I call myself the mentor hope because I'm around here trying to learn from everybody, man. I mean, bro, there's so many people. Miss Brenda Dowdy, I'm pretty sure she was a mentor of
Yeah.
yours. You know, amazing woman. True, like right now, I know she retired. Now she be calling me her son. I be telling her I love her. She tell me she love me. Amazing woman, right? She helped me get my career off the ground for sure. Her, even talking to you, man. Every time I see you, texting you, asking you questions like, how do you do this in your keynote? How you do that? Our homeboy DJ, man, I talk to him all the time. Like, bro, how do you do this? How do you do that? And he asks me questions and things like that. So we bouncing off each other. Another person was Roy. I'm pretty sure you know Roy. Me and Roy, we spoke at this event. I think it was in 2001. So I just started speaking. I was only speaking for about 3 months. We spoke at this event together. And after the event, he said, hey, can we meet up? And I was like, sure, why not? So we met up. And ever since that moment, he's been guiding me on the business of it, the way I should speak. He helped me. He helped me create my keynote to where it is now. And of course, since then, I've done built on it a lot. But just those people who are super selfless, because bro, I done came across this field and I done met people who are selfish, like very
Mm,
selfish. And I always tell
mhm.
people, man, if you need help, and I'm pretty sure anybody who knows me could testify to this, I'm going to help you. I'm going to answer your questions because at the end of the day, what God has for me or what God has for you, I can't take nothing from you. You can't take nothing from me. I'm going to get mine. And I truly believe that's why God has blessed me in a way where I'm doing very, very, very well as a speaker. And so I had other mentors in my life. A lot of mentors I have are in education. I got Drew Young right now, Don English. I got so many people, man. But I always tell people to find a mentor because find a mentor in a field that you want to be in because you can see how they do things, how they did things, where they failed at, and they said, okay, this don't work. So you could be basically on a trampoline, so you're not just stagnant, and you could just basically jump that process of it, and you could be better, and so you could fast forward it basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I look at y'all and I'm extremely, extremely proud. I've been doing this speaking thing for 15 years, man, over a decade as a professional.
No,
And
you look
so to see,
23.
I know, man, hey, this I tell people, man, this is coconut oil, drinking water, and minding my business, straight up.
And no
So if
drugs.
you want to look younger, that is the that is the formula. Stay out of other people's business, drink water, and moisturize your skin.
Look, man, when I found out how old you was, I was flabbergasted. I was like, "There's somebody playing a joke on me."
No, I was talking to a group of adults the other day, a group of educators, and someone had asked, like, I don't want to be rude or anything, but how old are you? And I told them, and like the whole room was just like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, but this is what happens when you hang around really good people, man, like,
Mhm.
people that feed you. And so, yeah, I remember having a conversation with you and you were just like, man, I want to dive into this full time. And I'm like, yeah, man, do it. Do
Mhm.
it. And it's going to be scary at first, but make it happen. I remember having dinner with DJ, man. We are at Wood Ranch in Chino Hills, man, and he was talking about, man, I really want to do this speaking thing like full time. I really want to hop into it. But at that time he was working with Fox and all that. And I was
Mhm.
just like, man, yo, get your story straight and make it happen, man. And so now we got Lucy Baker, who's
Mhm.
popping up on the scene, man. I'm really proud of her. She's taking the leap, And so as a speaker, bro, you're killing it. And the one thing that I like about you, man, is the fact that you listen. It's hard to mentor somebody that doesn't listen, right?
Mhm.
Um, I watch your guys' presentation. I'm like, hey, like, do this, be a little bit more animated about this, man. You tell a part in your story that's really powerful for me when you were talking about, being overweight and where your pain was. And that was really important to me. And the first time I saw you do it, I was just like, man, if he took something and just started jabbing himself, like,
Man,
ooh,
hey, I ain't stopped since. Let me
I
tell
know.
you.
And I mean, like you had posted a video with that clip, and I was just like, see, he listened,
Hmm.
man. And it's just like, it's so powerful, man. Cause the more I talk about or talk to people, the more I realize how much we all have in common regarding our pain and our suffering. And you have truly been a man of resilience, man. I see it in the
Thank
way
you.
you talk. I see it in the way you move. What you said about, asking your family, like, yo, I want to make sure I'm a good husband. I want to make sure I'm a good father. I do the same, man. I look at my son and I ask him every week, bro, like, am I a good dad? Like, what can I do more? And he'll look at me, well, you are overprotective, so they're watching, they're watching. And even when we have these down times, like, me and my daughter right now, we're like, we're button heads and things like this. But at the end of the day, she's gotta know, like my wife's gotta know, like my kids gotta know that, dude, I do love them, even though if everything's not perfect or I'm on the road, and you know how it is,
Yeah.
man, being on that road, we're constantly thinking like, dang, am I doing too much work?
Hmm.
Right? Am I working too much to where I'm not here for this, and this? And so it's definitely a challenge, man, but it seems like you're finding that balance. And that's pretty incredible. So I want to give you your kudos, man,
Thank you.
while
Thank
we're
you.
here, give you your flowers, man. I want to leave or we're going to open it up for some Q&A in just a second, but I want to ask you one more question in regards to like the advice that you would give people going through foster care right now. Like if you could give one piece of advice to current foster youth who are striving for a bright future like you have,
Hmm.
what would it be?
Man, the simplest way I could say it is your situation right now isn't your ending. And so anything that you're going through right now, it will pass. It shall pass. And just keep going. Man, somebody asked me this. So I have a mentor program and I'm in schools, and today we did Q&As with the students, and a question like this came up, and I just told them, I said, just keep moving forward. Just like Denzel Washington said, yes, we're gonna fail, but we fail forward. And it's not,
Mm,
and it's okay to understand that the situation that you're in, it's not your fault. Like it is not your fault. So I don't want you blaming yourself, but I want you to keep moving forward because life gets better. D, you've been through a lot of stuff in your life. Life got better, right?
yeah,
DJ, my
yeah.
homeboy DJ, he been through a lot. You hear his story, you just like, man, life got better, but we got through it. We worked on ourselves. We didn't become a part of the statistics. We wanted to help the statistics get better. And so at the end
Mm,
of the day, it's like you have to understand that the situation that you are in currently right now, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it looks like you're in a tunnel and you don't see not a thing of light peeking through anywhere. But I promise you, if you just kept moving, it will get better. And I like to because I exercise, I ride my bikes and I run a lot. Man, it's crazy because every time I do a race, I promise you, every single time I do a race, I get to a point where I think in my mind, I can't do this. My mind be fighting with my
mm,
body. I cannot. My body has already shut down, mind you. And I'm like, man, I can't finish. I can't keep going. And then once I push past that mental barrier right there, it's like, wow, I'm just now starting to, because that's when the race really starts. When I feel that I cannot keep going. And once I get past that wall, it's smooth sailing. Smooth
mm-hmm,
sailing. And so there was a time when I was living my life and I felt that I was just stuck in this situation and I did not know what's going to happen. Am I going to be successful? Am I going to have kids at an early age? Are they going to be in foster care? Are they going to be homeless? Am I going to be homeless when I get older? But I kept my head down and I kept pushing. I kept striving. I kept working towards something. So work towards a goal. Write your goals down. Right? I write all my goals down.
mm.
Work towards something, and at the end of the day, just keep moving forward. Don't be stagnant. Keep moving forward because time is gonna pass you by whether you like it or not. Man, yesterday I was trying to see if I could make a second go slower. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And so time is going to pass you by. I don't care. I don't care who you are. So be cognizant of your time. Be aware of it, and make every single second you have better.
I love that, man. I love that. Yeah. And the uniqueness of the world and people those of you that are watching and listening, you're special.
Mm-hmm.
In the context of time, you're not. Like time doesn't care anything about you. It's going to keep doing what it's like. Time has a purpose, just like all of us, and it does its purpose correctly. It doesn't. It don't wait for nobody. It's not stagnant. It doesn't doubt. Time just keeps ticking because that's what it's designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevon, you leave them with a great nugget of advice, which is you need to do the same, right? Like treat it like time. Time just goes. It does what it's supposed to do. It does what it's designed to do. And if you do the same, you're going to see that life gets better. That is fantastic, fantastic wisdom, man. So I appreciate you, Kevon. I want to open this up to some questions. You're gonna have to answer them because the way my actually no, I think I can find it right here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I want to open this up to questions for the audience. Feel free to ask any questions that you need. You have a lot of people in here that remember you, that say they're speaking from their, that you were speaking at their school, which is amazing and dope. So if you have any questions, please answer them in the chat. And also follow Kevon. You can see his profile right there. He's on Instagram, kevonlee.com. For the teachers that are watching or educators that are watching that are always looking for speakers, he's an excellent one, a fantastic one. I put my name behind his name 1,000%. So if you bring him in, I promise you he will have an impact on your students and your adults. So look him up, kevonlee.com. Kevon, you can go ahead and share all your information in the chat,
Yes,
and
sir.
and pin it there and things like that. So let's see. We got some questions. I got one here from Lucy Baker. Speak of the angel, and she shall appear. Lucy asked, did your biological parents ever invalidate your experience and or emotion? If so, how did you navigate that? That is a great
Mm.
question.
Man, absolutely right. And this is when I knew that. I remember, man, there's been a couple instances, but this one was just wow to me. I remember so I had just graduated with my master's degree, and me, my mom, and my dad were walking together, and my mom looks at my dad. Mind you, I haven't lived with my parents since 5 years old because I got shot. Let me just say that. I'm walking with them. My mom looks at my dad and say, "We were great parents." I was
Oh.
like, "What? When?" but But man, and I remember one time my dad said this to me, and when he said it to me, I couldn't believe it. He said, "Your life wasn't that hard." I was like,
Wow.
"Wow." I mean, okay. And so yeah, I've actually been through that. And so I realized young, right? I realized in my early 20s that I wish my mom would. Man, I realized in my early 20s that I have to love them for them. They're going to be the way they're going to be, right? My mom and dad been through extreme trauma in their life. They did the drugs, they ran the streets, whatever the case may be. And so I feel that they're stuck in that age where they started doing that stuff, and they can't even comprehend or understand the magnitude or even fathom what they put me through. And so understanding that okay, they are who they are, and I am who I am. And
Mm,
so I can't, because at the end of the day, they may see it through their own lens. And I'm not saying the lens is right. I'm not saying it's 2020 perfect. But at the end of the day, right, I feel like nobody could invalidate your emotions because nobody could feel the pain or the suffering that you are actually going through. And
mm,
so, and I know a lot of times I talk to a lot of students, and a lot of them say, "Oh, my parents are narcissists," or "My parents don't care about me," or they don't understand my emotions, what I'm going through. My parents, because I tell them something. One student was like, "My parents put me in a mental hospital." Um, the thing about it is like how I just say, right? Nobody could invalidate your emotion. What you're going through is what you're going through, and you should be able to be understood and get help, and whether that's therapy, whether whatever the case may be, right? My therapy right now is actually exercising.
mm,
in the morning. I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm able to go on a run, and I'm able to clear my thoughts before I start my day.
I like that, man. I love that. Like, I want y'all to understand that sometimes your parents, they ain't it. At the end of the day, like sometimes your parents ain't it. They the ones that are, they're the drug addicts. They're the ones on the streets. They're the ones that, you know, have like caused your pain and your trauma. And sometimes they look at you and go, well, we did the best we could. And sometimes like, it's okay to sit there and go, well, the best you could ruined me. Like the best you could hurt me. And I'm never doing the best that I could. I could always learn more. I can always do more. It's where you set your priorities, right? I can sit here and say, oh, I'm doing the best that I can with what I got. That wouldn't be true, because there are some times where I'm wasting my days. There are some times where, you know, I could be learning something, but instead of learning something or reading something, you know, I'm listening to the Drake and Kendrick beat, right? Like, which is entertaining for me. But, you know, like, of course, you're never going to get to 100%. Right? Nobody does. We all need help. We all need someone. But to sit here and say that if the best you could do caused the hurt and pain and suffering of your child or your loved one or whatever the case may be, you got to step back and go, wait, let me rephrase that, right? Because then you are saying, hey, like, I did what you're invalidating. It's like Lucy said, you're going like, hey, I did the best I could, man. I'm sorry that you know, this happened to you, or your uncle did this, or, you know, I did the best I could. And that's not right. It should be like, you know what? I should have been there. I should have done more. I could be doing more, you know? So that's a great question. Let me see if we have any more questions in here.
Let me ask you a question. When did you make that pivot in your life?
Ah, man, that's a great question. Like, when was my turning point? I think my turning point was, it had to be junior year. All the way up to my junior year, I believed that people didn't care about me, so I didn't care about people, right? One day I got a call. My social worker has signed me up for a college sponsorship program called United Friends of the Children. Shout out to United Friends of the Children, right? And a lady named Monica, who I will never forget, called me and talked to me about this program, right? And while she was talking, somewhere in our conversation, she said, oh, we just want to help you. And we just want to help you was the phrase that made me revert back to my little kid attitude, right? Because every time I got into a foster home, someone would say, we just want to help you. We just want to help you. And every time that happened, I moved. So that phrase right there triggered a lot in me. And so my attitude changed, okay? And then the next day, I'm at home and the phone rings. My foster mom picks it up and she's like, I hear her downstairs. She's like, okay. And she goes, Dee, phone's for you. Right. And I'm thinking it's, you know, one of my girlfriends in high school. So I answer the phone with a deep voice. I'm, hello, you know, my voice ain't like that. And she goes, hey, Dee, this is Monica. We noticed you haven't called. When she said that, everything in my life took a 180. Everything. Because it took me back to when I was 8 years old and my vice principal sat me down and didn't send me home and told me that I had potential. And the reason why she didn't send me home is because she cared. Now, almost 10 years later, you get this other lady that I never knew, right? We didn't have a relationship. This is my second time talking to her, calling me back, even though she knew I wasn't going to call her back. The reason why she called me back is because she cared. So everything that I thought in my life, people don't care about you, was a lie. You know, like right then and there, it's just like, dude, I've been living a lie. So immediately everything turned around for me, man. Like my grades shot up. Like I had more confidence in myself. I got that scholarship. I went to college. You know, I did all these things. And so it's just like, yeah, I just, that was my turning point, man. Like if I can see or pinpoint anything in my past, it's at that moment. But that moment is connected to a bunch of other people that cared about me, right? I talk about my English teacher, Miss Juarez Medina, whom I still talk to today. I talk to I talk about my high school coach, Coach Neela, who we both had the same birthday. I just called him the other day, yesterday. You know, my vice principal in 8th grade, like so many of these webs just started to connect, and finally somebody turned on the electricity. You know what I'm saying? That moment flipped the switch of the electricity, and all of it started to come together. And I just had this aha moment, like, dude, I have to do something with my life, bro. You know what I'm
Come on
saying? Like,
now.
I have to do something with my life. I can't just, there's more to life than just foster care, pain, hurt, and suffering. I got to do something. That means I got to get this college degree. I got to stay out of prison. I have to stop doing, I have to not use drugs, don't smoke, don't gang bang. I need to do something special with my life. And when you open your life to that and you open your heart to that, and obviously God plays a role in that as
Yep.
well, then you start to see your potential and what you can do.
Come on
So,
now.
man, great question, bro. Great question.
I love it. I love it.